Tupac Shakur pronunciation is interesting for it breaks with convention. In the English language, his first name is traditionally pronounced Tupac. However, he himself pronounced it as Tupac. His last name, Shakur, is traditionally pronounced Shakur, but he pronounced it Shakur. This distinction in his own pronunciation is reflective of his artistic and cultural expression. Born in 1971 and tragically murdered in 1996, his life was filled with influential music, poems, quotes, and movies. His pronunciation was a unique expression of his originality. Interest in his unprecedented pronunciation appears around the time of his first album release. His singular sound caused excitement among loyal and organic fans. Rap battles were a major pastime for him, as well as his peers. His friends, including his alias, Machiavelli, had their own form of pronunciation. This collective lexicon strengthened their bond. It is understandable that Shakur was not comfortable with his given name. He changed it from Lesne Parish Crooks to Tupac Amru Shakur. He was proud of his Hebraic name, which means shining serpent in Quechua. His adaptation of two African American pronunciations for his name was a way for him to express the sense of social exclusion he felt. He and his peers wanted to create their own personalized language that was distinct from all other dialects. Tupac was determined to have a voice in a system that he thought confined him. He also wanted to have a voice in a nation where musical success was a way of gaining financial freedom. All in all, Tupac Shakur was the way Tupac chose to pronounce his name. His originality expressed his creativity and uniqueness within popular culture. He was determined to solidify his place as an icon. Consequently, his name cemented the idea that he was an artist who could no longer be ignored. Within the hip-hop world, his distinct pronunciation of his name affirmed his confidence in his talents. Furthermore, it facilitated an egalitarian atmosphere among his peers. Ultimately, Tupac Shakur's pronunciation highlighted a sense of identity and belonging. His linguistic expression was an example of the need for freedom of language as an integral part of a revolutionary lifestyle. His pronunciation was empowering for himself and his audience. His fans embraced his spelling, and the pronunciation of his name was no exception. It was a way to show that he was not content with assimilation to existing social standards. It was an act of rebellion that resonated with many. People were drawn to his ability to step outside of the box and make his own rules when it came to language. His unique pronunciation of his name was an example of this rebellious attitude. Hence, the uniqueness of Tupac Shakur allowed him to become iconic and universally recognizable. His name fashioned a sense of solidarity among his fans. It is also possible that Tupac Shakur's distinct pronunciation of his name was a product of his experience of adversity. He experienced poverty, racism, and other social issues that encouraged him to express his anger and discontent. This experience of socio-political animosity allowed him to create a life that expressed his opinion. His pronunciation of his name was the expression of someone who had to fight for their rights. Consequently, this led him to build a cult following of fans that saw Tupac as a symbol of much-needed change. His pronunciation of Tupac Shakur, was a part of that rebellion. It was the verbal display of a man who felt that his language had been taken away and wanted to bring it back. His rebellion was a way for him to reclaim his voice. Ultimately, Tupac Shakur's pronunciation of his name showed it was his own interpretation of language that defined who he was. His fans loved the fact that he was not clinging to traditional pronunciations. It was this commitment to his uniqueness that allowed him to become a symbol of hope and empowered his fans, many of whom were people of color. He helped to spread the idea that one's language is an expression of their own individuality. His pronunciation gave a sense of power to many of his fans, who identified with Shakur's fight for freedom of language and expression. In this way, he helped to empower individuals who felt that society was restricting their expression. He used his own form of unique language to showcase his creativity, leaving a lasting impression on his fans. Tupac Shakur's pronunciation was a representation of his desire to be a part of something different. He wanted something that was not usually accepted by many, and that is why his unique pronunciation resonated with many.